last year was no fluke.
Take a look at the lane assignments for this women's 400-meter final. Sharika Jackson all the way on the inside. Lovely Williams-Mills in 3. And then in lane 4 will be the 19-year-old Nasser. In lane 6 is Phyllis Francis, the 25-year-old from Queens.
She was in that Olympic final last year with both Miller Weibo and Allyson Felix finishing in 5th. She's improved her 200-meter running this year, and she's also changed her tactics. She used to leave it very late. She doesn't do that anymore. She could factor if she has a good run in this race.
You know, when she was just 16 years old, it was the 800 meters that she excelled at. She ran a 2:04.83. That was back in 2008. As we take a look now at Miller Weibo,
the Olympic gold medalist. Third fastest in the world this year at 49.77.
There's Phyllis Francis.
She's one of only 4 women under 50 seconds flat with 49.96 this year. That was to get second at U.S. Nationals.
And there's Allyson Felix. She has 9 world titles.
The defending champ, the world leader this year. And the last time she was in this building, she won the Olympic gold in the 200.
But it was the 19-year-old from Bahrain, Salwa bin Nasser.
She could be a problem. If she sets another personal best, Miller Weibo and Felix may have a problem with the youngster.
Williams-Mills, the 35-year-old cancer survivor. She was diagnosed with breast cancer shortly before the 2012 Olympics, had a double mastectomy shortly after returning home from London, and now she is back here for these World Championships.
And here's Sharika Jackson of Jamaica, who was the bronze medalist behind Allyson Felix and Shawnee Miller Weibo last year in Rio. I expect that Shawnee Miller Weibo, as she did in Rio, will go out very, very aggressively to the first 200, try to hold it around the turn to 300. The question is, what is Allyson Felix going to do? Is she going to match her there, or is she going to leave it for late and depend on her final 100? That didn't work last year.
She has the advantage. Shawnee Miller Weibo will be on her outside. Yeah, they're off. One lap around the track, the 400 meters. The battle once again between Miller Weibo and Allyson Felix.
Allyson Felix is not going to let Shawnee Miller Weibo lead to 200 this year. They are just about even halfway, and Allyson, I think, has learned her lessons from last year. The question is, what does Miller Weibo have on the outside?
They're stride for stride as they come through the final turn. It's Miller Weibo who has the advantage. Miller Weibo, a 3-meter advantage, but here comes Allyson Felix. Allyson Felix doesn't look like she has it tonight. Miller Weibo stumbles, and she stumbles in the middle. Phyllis Francis. What a finish by Phyllis Francis of the USA.
Oh my gosh, what an eventful race. For 350 meters, you thought you saw what was coming, and then the Olympic champion pulls up, and Phyllis Francis, in a new personal best 49.92, is the world champion. We didn't see that coming.
Phyllis Francis capitalizing. It was Allyson Felix who looked as though she was coming on, and then she started to falter. And then Miller Weibo stumbles, and Phyllis Francis takes advantage of that, and she is the world champion.
And we talked about the youngster. Guess what the youngster did? Nasser of Bahrain, second in a national record, 50.06. It's been that kind of a world championship. Forget what you know. Forget what the form charts say. Anything can happen here in London.
Allyson Felix sitting down now as I'm sure Phyllis Francis is starting to realize what she has just done. Phyllis Francis has won the gold medal at the World Championships.
So let's put this into a little bit of perspective here as Phyllis Francis is congratulated by the members of the USA delegation here with the USA Track and Field. Here's Phyllis Francis. She's in lane 6. To her outside is the Olympic champion, who has way better 200-meter speed, as does Allyson Felix. So no surprise, the Olympic champion separates early. And look at Allyson Felix also making up the stagger and catching the eventual world champ Phyllis Francis. But remember, someone like Phyllis Francis is going to run more even splits than will Miller-Uibo and Allyson Felix. So now the Olympic champion's in the lead. She looks good. Allyson Felix is trying to close that gap so she doesn't have to make up any deficit in the final 100. Miller-Uibo comes off with a step. Now we see Allyson Felix getting back in touch with her. Miller-Uibo goes for her kick. She looks okay to here, but now look at this. Phyllis Francis with the better finish. She's the world champion. Nasser up for second, as the two pre-race favorites would fade to third for Allyson Felix and fourth for the Olympic champion. So a wild turn of events in a great 400-meter world championship final. That's why we come and pay all this money to watch this race.
What a finish by Phyllis Francis.
Phyllis Francis never stopped believing that she would get there. And there it was. Phyllis Francis from the University of Oregon is world champion.
Allyson Felix adds to her medal count. There will be a bronze on this evening, but there will be 2 American athletes that will be on the podium.